record. Hello, everybody. This is Patricia here live with a very special guest into our community. Tommy is a very long time friend of mine for many, many years. And myself and Tommy have been on a pretty amazing journey the last year and a half. With the magic that he brings to the world. And we've had many different conversations around Powerhouse, and I don't know, it came up with our conversation one day that it may be beneficial for everyone in the community, first of all, to meet Tommy, but also for us to just talk about how, this is, you know, one of my conversations. This is like totally unrehearsed, by the way, to everybody. We haven't practiced or even talked really about how it's going to flow. But just to put this into context, one of the conversations I had with Tommy, he asked me, well, why do you do Feng Shui? Like, why do you do it? What is it? Why? And really, it got down to the core of it is to really help people. And we've seen amazing transformation in people's lives as we really start to embrace the energy of our homes. And this is something that what we came from our team meeting as well, team group meeting in person in December, was around just focusing on our community, supporting you even more, and how can we make your experience better, but also to help you really move into a new place with the power of Feng Shui, and bring in some of the insights that I've been having with Tommy on this journey. So Tommy, do you want to introduce yourself and maybe share a little of your journey? Or
Yeah, I don't know how to introduce what I do. I don't know how to introduce it. So we'll just see how it unfolds. Tommy is the name I was given. That's the name that was given to the body. There's obviously an awful lot more to what we are. And when I'm doing something like this with a group of people, I'm interested in that. The best way to, Rachel's going to be laughing now as she's kind of watching this inside. The best way to kind of describe me is I'm like just a tool for leverage into information in your system that's usually rooted in your body, rooted in your subconscious. It's everything I say today, everything that I express today is functional. I don't speak for the sake of speaking. I don't speak to hear the sound of my own voice. It's functional. So what I have to say, what gets expressed through my system today into the Facebook Live group, it doesn't really have anything to do with me. I'm not that interested in what Tommy has to say about Feng Shui. I'm interested in your community and what they're coming across and what the journey is like for them, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment, and it's very important for people to kind of stabilize in something other than their personality. So that's what I am proficient with, is the negation of the personality and its structure and how it hasn't worked thus far for most people. So just think of me as a hammer, just a tool to express more of what you are. So yeah, I don't know if that's helpful.
I suppose I would like to give maybe a little back context to when I first met Tommy. He was working and had his own sound recording studio, and we recorded any of the sound healing and Tibetan bowls and singing bowl meditations that you hear and the singing bowls in the background. That was all recorded in Tommy's studio. So Tommy has spent a lot, like most of his life, listening to sounds. And my experience has been, Tommy hears past he hears the part, hears, I don't know if the word is right, but your soul. He hears what your higher purpose, the higher version of you that exists without all of the crap. So he sees through that, and he's not even seeing through it, he just hears it, and then really supports you in kind of dismantling any of the things that we've kind of layered on us, whether it's from our family, from our, our surroundings, the people, what's been kind of running the show per se, or what we think we're running our lives. And that's definitely been part of the journey. It's just this really amazing gift in hearing. And I see Rachel just writing, it's like a human tuning fork, and really supports people, bringing them back into balance and into connecting with your true essence, or like that version of you that really wants to shine, without any of those patterns or stories or things that can be running within you. So how does that sound, Tommy, to you? That feel?
Yeah, pretty good. So so what happens is with sessions like this is that the quake starts, the kind of energy just starts to go and it starts to move, and then it's got its own function. So if you'd like me to share a little bit about what's kind of come about this morning as the energies kind of shifted and changed in relation to Feng Shui and this group, and so there's a lot of people talk about change. There's a lot of people that are indulging in a lot of different modalities to bring about change. And there's talk is very cheap to me. I'm not interested in an awful lot of it. I'm interested in actual change and how that can occur in somebody's system if it's been difficult for them up to this point. So just to let your community know that in relation to different people that I've come across, Patricia Lohan has been one of the bravest human beings I've come across in relation to stepping up to that which needed changing. So let's just say Patricia Lohan, and let's just say that the hierarchical vibration is India. Let's just call it India. So a kind of a spiritual ground is the higher vibrational spiritual ground of what she is. So let's hear a little less Patricia and hear into a little bit more of the India vibration. And this vibration of what she is in a position to, through the idea of powerhouse, is able to teach this community in a very, very particular way. Now, it's being lived by Patricia. It's being spoken by Patricia. It's being written by Patricia. It's being expressed by Patricia. So this India energy is being lived, spoken, written. It's real change. So that's a hell of a thing to come by, because as people probably know, change can be seemingly difficult. And the overarching idea within this Facebook Live is, if you're finding it hard to change, this India matriarchal energy that's surrounding the community has the ability to teach what you are to the negation of what you're not. So the drama that you might find in your system, the anxiety, the cortisol levels, the sympathetic nervous system lighten up at various different points might be getting in the way of certain things. So what I'm saying is this India vibration has the ability to teach you something very, very strong. And within that India vibration, Rachel works within the framework of Powerhouse. And Rachel, as let's say Rachel does the reports, has the ability to hold space for you within the Powerhouse structure in a way that can help change. Now, what gets in the way of that is, okay, so what you guys need to think about as a community is, imagine this India vibration is all around you and standing beside you. Your personality structure, your little self, your name and the name that was given to your body, might buy the program in Powerhouse and then stand and wait for Patricia to change your life. And that's not going to happen. The India vibration facilitates the change. So think about, as a community, standing beside, not standing in front of. So you stand beside each other in the community as what you are, and shore each other up in the community with that India vibration as the kind of matriarchal Feng Shui idea, so that the projections of your little self, or the protestations of your little self, or the difficulties that your little self might have within the community, doesn't get to stop allowing yourself to project what you're not into the community with a complaint that has something to do with you and your subconscious. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you, Patricia, as I'm saying that?
It does. I think
Yeah.
for just clarification with people listening, the first that came into my mind was just like, I'm not sure everyone will get like this whole idea of the personality. Yeah. That concept is just, can be a little bit hard and tricky to grasp. And I know there's like lots of writings about it, and some people may not have like learned about this, so maybe we'll touch on that.
Yeah. So if you just get the music of what's being said, if you just get don't try and understand it so much cognitively, just get the music of what's being said, and it will land in your system. Allow it to come in through the top of your head and in through your body, and to land right about in your chest. Let the music of what's being said land that way. The personality might have an awful lot of things to say about what's being said here, and just listen to the little voice kicking up and causing a little bit of a stir, or causing a little bit of having a little bit of an opinion. This has nothing to do with opinion. This has to do with the pure vibration of what you are coming into your system and landing in your heart center. And it's beyond the personality, as the personality is usually getting expressed from the lower energy centers. It's usually being expressed from the lower part of your body. So for example, the first energy center, if it's cycling incorrectly meaning not as designed, it's going to express fear. And usually there can be terror as well, and angst within that first energy center. That first energy center has a plexus of neurons that has cells, and those cells, when the neuropeptide of the thought goes down the spine, it creates a level of mind that can be a fearful person. And in case anybody has noticed recently, there's some fear being going around, and you might have noticed that that fear can be quite addictive. And it can keep you there. It can keep you in the centrifuge. You can be kept in the centrifuge of that fear. That's the first energy center when it's running in such a fashion that's not beneficial to you. second energy center. And this is an energy center that female bodies seem to like to be in quite a lot. So men and the affectation of testosterone and stuff will love the third energy center, but female bodies will be very familiar within the second energy center, the Svadhisthana chakra, or the second hormonal center. That's where guilt can be unconsciously running your body. That's where lack is huge. It can be running you ragged all around the place. And it's going to just run to all these different places. And it's going to look to be satisfied so that it's not there. So it's going to look for a lot of things to be satisfied so it can be quelled. So when you're broadcasting from guilt or lack or shame is down there too, you're going to try and fix something from the part of your body that actually caused the problem. So you end up in a centrifuge. So the lack will try and solve the lack, but inevitably will create more lack. That's what it does. That's the addictive nature of the plexus of neurons in the Svadhisthana chakra. So you get caught in a loop. It's a centrifuge. What's being said here is you're not that. You're not that. You've taken yourself to be that. I can guarantee you you're not that. That's not what you are. I have an interest in what you are, no interest whatsoever in what you're not. So what I do with people, with groups, the work that I do is I just keep on shoveling what you're not out of the way. I just keep on shoveling it out of the way until it becomes very, very obvious that there's a broadcast in your system and it's really broadcasting what's not happening. It's broadcasting a lie all day, every day. Tommy FM, FM stereo radio turned on at about 3-4 years of age, and Tommy FM's been blasting. And then quite some time ago, I got to see, oh, that broadcast's not real. It's just, it's very habitual. But because it's unconscious and it's in the body and it's very addictive, you don't even know you're doing it. So the idea is there's a fire in your house and you started it, but you also call the fire brigade. So the fire brigade comes in to solve the problem that you started. That's what a discombobulated second energy center can do, and first energy center, but I say second energy center because that's where a lot of female bodies would gather in that particular energetic location. So just to move up one is to the Manipura chakra. It's called the City of Jewels. Third energy center, third hormonal center. That's where a lot of men will find themselves. Frustration, anger, testosterone, kind of, when testosterone gets to that location, it gets kind of tricky. When somebody's fight or flight system is lit up and they're angry or anxious or feeling anxiety, their adrenals are leaking, expressing an awful lot of cortisol. And then there's such an addictive quality to cortisol, you can take yourself to be an angry person. You can just take your mood of lack in the second can be taken, oh, that person's a little bit lack, they're in that victim. That's another thing to say about the second energy center, is that that's where the victim lives. The world is it's on me. Something's happening to me. I need a way out of this thing. The third energy center is angry about it. The third energy center is, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight back. But usually you're going to be fighting against a dead master. You're going to be fighting against what's not happening. So you can get caught in the addictive quality of the rage, of the frustration, of all of that. And you can take yourself to be, everybody knows somebody that's grumpy or angry, and they're just taken to be that. So what's happening in their system is mathematical, logical, rational, calculated. It's geometry. That's what it is. When you've got like a grumpy person stuck in their third energy center, that's not what they are. Even the expression of that is not even close to what they are. So people get stuck in these lower parts of the body. They take themselves to be that, and it's just not so. It's seemingly so. It's seemingly so. So when you feel angry, you really think that you have a problem that needs to be solved. That problem does not need to be solved from anger. It can't be. It produced the problem. It's the producer of the problem. So the producer of the problem cannot solve that problem from the same level of mind. It can't. It's not possible to do it. So you need to be in a different location. When you access this different location in the body, you're going to see real quick what you are, as in WHAT, what you are, because you're not a, I don't know how far I can go with, you know what I mean? I'm always kind of cautious. Rachel's been very good at kind of taming. I'll just say it. You're not a body. You're not even in a body. You're seemingly in a body. That's not what's happening here. So if, let's say, Marie Curie, the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, Albert Einstein, David Bohm, Jiddu Krishnamurti, Richard Feynman, who's known as the grandfather of quantum mechanics, and his good friend who's still alive, Leonard Susskind. All of those quantum physicists, all of them cannot find physical matter. They can't find it. They cannot find physical matter. There's a reason for that. It's because it's not here. There's nothing physical here. There's no here and spirits there. It's all energy. It's all spirit. Now you find yourself located in a body, seemingly you're not really. So this is what happens when there's a, and it might be happening to some people on the Facebook Live, depending on where they might start feel that boundarylessness in their system. Where do I start and end, and where does the Patricia begin? Well, it's one thing. We're connected. We're connected, you know? Just like what Patricia said to me earlier on, I sent Patricia a remix of a song right at the within the same minute of her listening to the song. How's that? How's that work? It works because there is no Patricia, there is no Tommy, there is no Rachel. It's one thing. So the idea is this: there is one light and many lanterns. The many lanterns are now on the Facebook Live. So think of it like this: there's a ministry, there's a house, a ministry. Light comes in through the stained glass window. So there's lots of stained glass windows. So let's say there was a lady from the powerhouse community that emailed me earlier on, and let's say there's a window and there's lots of different colored stained glasses. So the light hits this lady's, her Maxine is her name, hits this red piece of glass, and then it shines into the house. So what's shining into the house? Red. It's a longer wavelength. It lights it up red. It's a little bit darker, you know? Then there's the same window, but a different stained glass, and it's green. The light comes in. So we are the one light. And I don't mean to be saying something nice. I mean, that's the way this is. That's exactly the way this is. The light hits the stained glass window. It could hit the green. The green is 4. It could hit the third energy center. It could hit the second energy center. it could hit the 7th energy center, Sahasrara chakra, and then what comes into the ministry, what comes into the house is what you are. So what you are comes in through the 7th. Yeah. So does that make sense?
I think one of the things, yeah, there's loving this is good. Rachel just said, I just took myself to be the 2nd energy center for so long until I didn't. And then there was just so much light, joy, and so many possibilities available.
Yeah.
And that's definitely been the same experience for me. Like realizing that for basically, I was just addicted to feeling guilty about everything. Like you just name it. It was like running my system, and still does, and I still see it. And then I see it, and I'm like, this is part of the journey. Is it's not like this, oh my God, I'm addicted to whatever this energy center, and this is where I'm playing out of. It's like, how do we move from there into the heart? And how do we start to feel good? And how do we start to really move from these places, these lower centers, into our heart? And how does this work with our feng shui? Like this is one of the most important, this is one of the parts. Is just like, well, is it just about me, or is there other things that we're working on? And obviously everybody's been called in to work to this community for a reason. There's there's no accidents. Like, we're all here. If you had told me 10 years ago that I would be here talking to Tommy about and doing this work with him, I'd be like, you are off your rocker. Like that's just not that's just not it. He's the sound engineer who does the CD. He's not the person who helps me with this work. And it's like, as we evolve and change, and this is part of the power. I think, there's no accident in the name Powerhouse, and you'll see my name, Power Shakti. This is about us becoming our own powerhouses and moving beyond these lower centers into our heart, and using our homes as part of this. So it's like we have these environments, like our mental, our physical, these energy centers, and we have our home that we can use to help as well with the alchemy, because there's real alchemy with this work that we're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that I thought about earlier on, Patricia, which was really funny, was years ago, in about 2013, 2014, I went for a walk with Jeff and Paul, and we were talking about you in Glendalough. And we were like, what's she doing? Like, she's doing some kind of law of attraction thing, and she's doing stuff on the internet, but what's she doing? And I remember sitting there, and I remember sitting there, and I said, you know what? All of us are going to end up working for her. That's what I said. And slowly but surely, it's starting to happen. So I could hear that back then. So just in relation to what you've said, the really, really good news is always from the same location. So you have to think about this. There's a lot of people talk about the heart, and there's a lot of people talk about getting into your heart and this, that, and the other about your heart. Your heart has a gland. It's called the thymus gland. And what expresses from the thymus gland is thymosin, a hormone called thymosin, but also oxytocin moves through this center. And oxytocin, when it's not a chemical and it's felt, is joy. So the chemistry of joy is far more addictive. It's way more addictive, and it'll get you addicted at the level of your body quicker. So if you've been in cortisol for a long time and stuck in those lower energy centers for a long time, the good news is this chemistry in your body has not been tapped. When somebody has a desire to go to Powerhouse, get the Powerhouse program and be part of the Powerhouse community, They're looking for this house to feel like a powerhouse. And the Feng Shui aspect of powerhouse is a medium. It's like a medium that helps you to leverage into this part. The thing that people could do with contemplating in your community is when a person has their home office and they've got two samurai swords on the back wall and they're wondering about why there's so much anger in them and in their business, there's a couple of things that they need to think about. What part of me put the samurai swords on the wall? What part of me had, what way was my house initially before I started to put in remedies? Who was it that did that? Who was it that did that? And it's usually it's usually that aspect. You'll see pictures that have lack in them. You'll see pictures that have a victim. You'll see the kind of a darker sort of thing. And then the idea is, will you put in these remedies and that changes? But you need to let the remedies that you put in change you. You need to let the remedies that you put in change you. You have to change in order to feel different. You have to change. You have to change. And what that means is how you feel has to change. So when you put in a remedy, when you put metal into a certain part of a room, or you're expressing a remedy within a bagua, or there's something that's happening in your report, don't put it in and then and expect a piece of metal to do the change. The metal won't do the change. It's going to help you change. The metal goes in place and helps you change. It helps you raise your vibration and raise your frequency. You're not trying to do yourself out of the trauma of the lower energy centers. What you're trying to do is allow into the chemistry of your fourth energy center via the remedies. You got to let the remedies. People get angry when they put remedies in place and then it seemingly doesn't work. It's not that the remedy hasn't worked, it's that you haven't changed. It's not that the remedy hasn't worked, it's that you haven't changed. Feng Shui and Powerhouse and the program, it's designed to facilitate and leverage you into change. It in and of itself, like, Jenny or Wolf or Patricia or Rachel, it's not their job to change it. That's not their job. It's not they'll give you all the different bits and pieces. But if you're on a path of discovery and you want to inhabit a different type of chemistry, I would say, then you can use your house is here. Your body is your house. The feeling in your body has to change. And the remedies can enable that to happen. But you really need to make sure that if it doesn't happen, if you want the remedy to change your whole situation immediately, that's got a vibration of urgency to it. And that's the third energy center. That's your personality wanting, and not allowing. You got to allow. And it was hard for me because I'm a kind of a natural born skeptic and all of that type of thing. So when Rachel had like 200 kilos of iron coming into the apartment, I was like, man, what's going on? I got angry. Like, I was like, wow, because I was carrying it all as well. I did pick it up in the car and then put it into this car. Man, what are we doing? And then I was like, oh, okay. I could feel the weight of it. I could feel how it was kind of assisting the dissolution of Tommy's position and Tommy's opinion and Tommy's this and Tommy's that, it started to dissolve it. So yeah.
I think that there's a few lines that you said that really has landed in people, and for me as well. You need to let the remedies that you put in it change you. Yes.
Yeah. So one of the things just to say to your community is you're in this community for a reason. There's cohesiveness in the community. There's love in the community. There's a togetherness in the community. But there's a job. There's a mission. And complaining about this and complaining about that is no good. We need to learn how to chemically outshine the negativity that can be in the lower part of the body. So everybody in this community has a job. And I was thinking about this quite a lot, and I came across a really nice line about that job. Our job is to sing the song of unity that sings forth the hologram. This is a hologram. And to sing forth unity means you have to feel joy. And just so people know, you don't have to work at joy. You don't need this thing and you don't need that thing. You don't have to work at joy. It's there. It might take you a little bit of work to undo the central nervous system and the autonomic nervous system's addiction to the lower energy centers and those patterns. But this community can really be a place where you can explore different aspects of yourself, but make sure you don't explore or keep on exploring lack and why this hasn't happened and why that hasn't happened. The idea of this community is vibrationally changing so that you guys in the community are going to become teachers in some form, not necessarily teaching Feng Shui. Some of you will teach Feng Shui through the certification. You might end up doing that, and you might help people put remedies in place in their home and stuff like that. But this idea is about not being the hurt child anymore. This is about being the lighthouse that can help other people raise the frequency. That's what this is. That's what it's turning into. It's not a place to be, staying as you were. This is about changing and allowing what you are to come in through the top. Allow that light to hit the stained glass window and light the powerhouse energy up so that you can be of assistance in the world and not be in your drama all the time. Yeah.
So resonant. There's a lot of people with some really great remarks and comments saying that this really resonates a lot. And I totally agree. And I love the that analogy of the lighthouse and the idea of powerhouse, that as we raise our own energy with our homes and ourselves, we start shining a light very differently. And we start not just changing it for us, but it's the people in our homes, it's the people that we interact with. And I remember doing a meditation and seeing all these houses lit up, literally lit up houses all around the world.
Did you see that in your meditation? You saw that in your meditation?
I seen it in meditation a while back, and it was just all these houses lit up and shining, and I think this is part of it, is that it's our job to be in our hearts and to be a lighthouse, and then people will then be like, what's what have you been doing? And it's not
Yeah.
necessarily about the feng shui. The feng shui is part of it because it's part of what you've been called into this. So obviously our house needs you and wants you to raise that energy for everybody in it. But it's also then people start turning their heads and seeing, and you're this beam of light, because we know and we've seen it the last 2 years. It's just the fear and all of that. And honestly, I've done my real best to not even bring that into this community. This community is like every Friday we share our wins. This is not an egotistical win. This is like, oh my God, look what's just happened. And then if it can happen for that person, it can happen for you. And watching your own personality, what that little voice, that version of you that goes, that's not happening for me. Why is it happening for me? Well, and seeing that and be like, well, that's interesting. And then, if we remember the conversation that I had with Patty maybe about a year or two ago, and that like where the issues or the problems that can be not, or things not working, this is it being presented to you to look at, to work with and analyze and to see. And one thing, like before you do Powerhouse, and when you're in Powerhouse, we've created our homes from, as Tommy said about this, from the subconscious. And we had an interesting day. So a couple of them in December, I recorded a free Feng Shui mini course that's going to be going out for people as a precursor to joining Powerhouse. And Tommy was there for the day with me to make sure that I stayed in this heart place and was really steady and constant, going from like, I'm here to serve, I'm here to help. And why am I doing Powerhouse? Because we want more people raising their energy, raising the vibration of their homes, being in their heart, accessing joy, and spreading that, like really living it and embodying it and being powerhouses, like you and your house. But from that day, the day after, a few days, I think you sent me a text a few days after, because obviously then Tommy got a full tour of the house because we were like recording with the videographer. And in my prosperity area, interestingly enough, I had some gold chocolate coins. And I would love to just share that story, Tommy, about what you saw. And I didn't see this until he spotted it, because our houses, and you said about looking at the paintings, look at the art, like what's the energy? Seriously, there's a huge opportunity with just this interaction that we had about the gold coins. And one of my things when I felt guilty was that I would eat. And this is from a little girl, like the little girl that felt bad about this or that, or sad that I just would eat. And sweets, sugar. Oh man, the sugar thing. And what's been so fascinating since, as I've evolved and dissolved so much of that, the sugar is not a thing anymore. Like I don't know, I would just leave it. I don't even, and actually even just like hunger, like I don't have an appetite. I'm like, I feel like I live half on fresh air, even though my dinners, but the sweets was interesting, because I say to people, well, you can, if you can't have actual coins, like use chocolate coins, gold. And I had them at my front door. So you walk in our front door into our prosperity here, and there's the chocolate sweets. And I didn't even see it. I didn't recognize. So maybe we'll talk about that, because I think this is really interesting for people in your homes, the things you could have there or in place that's your subconscious, and these lower centers are actually talking and then impacting you.
So the lower energy centers, before you became aware of Feng Shui, or before you became aware of the idea of doing work on yourself, would have built your internal environment in your house. That's just a physicalized fact. You'll see that if you go around, if you just even in your mind go around your environment, you will know that your lower self, your little self, some people call it the inner child, created the environment in a very particular way, which would have been a repetition, a chemical repetition compulsion in your body. You wouldn't have even known that you picked that seat, or that you did this thing or that thing. So when myself and Patricia and the videographer were doing this particular work, Patricia was working on the front door and was working on this painting that was arriving and all this type of thing. And Patricia has just said to you guys that I could see something. I don't see anything. I just hear everything. And I was listening to the gold coins, and they were at the front door, and the idea was they mimic and shore up the idea of prosperity and money and flow. And there wasn't like 4 gold coins, there was like 44 gold coins. They were everywhere. These gold coins were on a plate, and they were just falling all over themselves. And I could hear the sugar addiction in the subconscious body mind at that time. So when people would walk in the front door of Patricia's home, they were met with a child's addiction. They were met with a 1985 version of Patricia. That's what they were actually subconsciously being met with. So Patricia's obviously a Feng Shui master at many levels, but this is just to show you that the unconscious body mind, the second energy center, displayed this as prosperity, but actually it was an addictive quality within her system that was completely unconscious. And that which is unconscious, if you're not opening it up to have a look at it, it's going to run your show. Like that lower energy is going to run your show. It's going to place remedies in your home that you think are this thing, but actually you need to think about that which you're placing in that bagua, in that corner, because it may be an affectation of the kind of lower. And that's why some things seem like they don't happen, like they don't work, like they don't, because they're actually being put in place by the child inside of you that's trying to stay egoically alive. Joy will place something else at the front door. Yeah.
And that actually was one of the things that's changed in the report this year, because we changed the metal to call it magic metal, so that it actually, on the report, you're going to see magic metal, because it used to be one of these things that was like felt heavy and scary and overwhelming. And I was like, well, if we actually just change our attention to it and refocus it to be like, this is magic metal, this is exciting, like this is an opportunity for transformation. And as I put this in, this is going to aid, and it's literally alchemy at work. It's mystical, crazy alchemy at work. And I just saw one of them, a comment from Siobhan saying, bringing metal into my home made my husband very angry. The brake pads were ditched, and it's back to the drawing board. So for me, in the very beginning with the metal, when we got it, we definitely were in a place of like, I have this really weird metal thing here that I have now decided I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to get some nice metal here. Actually, I don't need metal yet for next to her, but like, I was just like, it's this weird thing that was out in the shed, and it was from a place of like getting the metal from a place of desperation. Like, we just need metal. We have to get the metal in, and that is definitely not a heart-centered energy of the metal element. I'm bringing this metal element to balance, to harmonize, to bring my home into flow, to support me and my family. Or if you're doing it from that lower place of desperation. So well, maybe it's like an opportunity for, consider, like when we, and I think also this is, things have shifted in our community in the way that we are doing things. And that, in the beginning, a lot of people, and the reason we suggest the break disc, and it's an opportunity, it's a way of doing it that hasn't got a huge investment, because you've already invested in the program, and it's kind of an opportunity to go, okay, well, you can go to your mechanic and you can jokingly say, I'm doing an art project, have you got any break discs? And bring them in and see the magic unfold, and then, or transform them into something, hide them, and then the next year you start to evolve and go, I can come from a place of now abundance, and the abundance is here for me to be able to invest in metal that is of a different energy. So it's like, and our program is evolving as well with that. Like, it was useful at the time to say, break this. You don't have to do that. You can go and get other types of metal and have more joy with them as you evolve.
I think one of the things that happens when people, let's say people put remedies in, that their partners can start to get upset. I think that's a common theme that happens. And just because, let's say your partner is a man, just because he gets angry, it doesn't mean that there's something going wrong. I can guarantee you, it means that there is an unconscious change being ushered that he's finding difficult. And it's not something for your second energy center to run guiltily and try and fix. You can leave a man with his anger. It's his. You haven't caused it. You haven't caused it. If metal goes into a certain location and he gets angry, that's for him to work through. And if he doesn't currently have the skill set to work through it, well then work it out. He's going to have to work it out, because it can trigger, that metal can trigger an awful lot. And what I learned with Rachel is, okay, she is working with Powerhouse. She's putting remedies in. There's all this sort of stuff going down. I mean, I came back to the apartment on numerous occasions and I'd be like, what's happened? This feels like a completely different location. And I've learned to immerse myself in the change. So my system, if it lights up because it hasn't ushered the change and the change got ushered in the environment, I know how to let my system sit down, and I allow myself to kind of embrace the change. And man, you could come in and there'd be a wall a completely different color. So you could imagine I'm walking into my apartment and I'm like, what she after putting that on the wall for? And it's like, hang on. It would start to rise up in me and be like, and I want to say something, and I just go, no. Now, just calm your body down, let it chill. And every single thing that's been put in place ushers the environment and ushers to those higher, more lighthouse-like attractions. It's brilliant. It's brilliant when people get on the right side of what's being inputted into the environment. It's awesome.
And I think just for this, I would love to just chat about the resistance. When you first get the report, and there's maybe people who are listening haven't got everything in yet, who are facing into like 2022, we're going to be issuing new reports soon, and just speaking to that kind of resistance to not taking action on it, even though it's a calling to be part of this program and to do this work. Like, it's not like you kind of made a decision, it's just like you're here for a reason. And it's and I think, so maybe on that resistance thing, because I have another big question as well now.
So resistance is always from the same place. It's always from the third energy center. Resistance is it's a fight. It's an internal fight. And it's the lower part of your system, your personality, your body, mind. It's that part that is wishing for things to stay the same. That resistance is not what you are, but it is what you are chemically being beholden to. Don't let it run you, because it's not what you are. Start looking face to face at the resistance in the knowledge that it's not you. That's your personality that's desiring to keep things the same. The ego is trying to keep everything the same. It doesn't want the metal. It doesn't want the fountain. It doesn't want the people talk, this is what I said at the very start of this, everybody talks about change. Everybody talks about change, but when the rubber hits the road, who really wants to do it? And if you've signed up and you're in the community, well, guess what? You signed up. So you got to deal with that. And you got to get over what you're not, which is the personality, put the remedy in place, and then grok and ensure that your system understands the change that it's trying to usher, because it's trying to bring you to a better feeling place.
Totally. I love that. And it's just really watching. I think there's a lot about, and this is that, like, noticing and watching, like watching, noticing yourself, your thoughts. And this also brings us, like, to that idea of the change of that, like, we could be, our lower self could be driving us on a train track, like this way, like really fast this way, but actually our soul, our higher self, that the real soul person, when we put the remedies in, it's like, oh, hang on, you're on the wrong track. You need to go over here. And it's about replacing you onto a new thing. And it's, as we said, change is not comfortable. This is it's going to align you back onto the right place, onto the track that you're supposed to be on. And that does take work and tenacity, and
it takes a bit of getting used to. Yeah. And like, so there's different things that you can do to help that. One of the things is at 11 p.m. at nighttime, when you want to go, you're feeling a little bit sleepy, and you're where you live is warm, and you want to go to bed and go to sleep. Get into your shower, turn it on full cold for 3 minutes, and stand there and see what happens to your body. Because you're going to hear a scream from your lower self to get out of it. Now, you have the ability to stand in that cold shower and actually start to let the mind run the show as opposed to your body. That's what that type of cold work can help with. There's little hacks, little biohacks that can really, really help you in relation to the resistance that you might have. And the resistance is a chemical lie in your body. Yeah.
And when we're in one of those cycles, for me personally, with the guilt one, was that more guilt, I would find more things to be guilty about. So it would be like the next thing and the next thing, and then they would just pile up. But actually, as I've become more and more aware of it, and this is the journey, is being aware and seeing, oh, there I am trying to be guilty again. And then laughing, and whatever way to bring me back into joy, which means it. And the back to the place of joy can be going and putting on a song and dancing with Ken. It can be picking up Toby. It can be just, messaging Tommy, putting on it can be what's going to do it. Like this morning, I did do the cold shower, and I've been doing it after I go into the sauna. I do the cold shower, and it's actually nice. Really good.
Yeah.
Really good. And there is a part of that dissolution, but first of all is just watching and noticing where we're operating from. And that was a huge, like, honestly, the biggest awakening for me was just like, oh my God. And Tommy we had this conversation where it was like a line of taps of like for a bar, and I was like, all of them had different flavors of guilt about this, guilt about this, guilt. And I would just be like taking shots of it. And, and it was just, and the thing is, it's not that it's over, it's not that it's gone totally, but there's more awareness of it. But after that realization, it was just so freeing, like so liberating. And it hasn't been comfortable. Like, it's not like it's a constant, like, Patricia's hopping over the moon happy every day, but it's moving closer and closer to this joy energy, and wanting to be in it more and more and more and more, and finding the ways to get into it. So there's a real magic in this, in just that identification of what it is. And we don't even know, sometimes we don't even realize. And as you as you even just being in this space, it'll maybe dropping in and you may be able to see it. And the idea is to notice when we're coming in to notice who's coming to post in the Facebook group, who's coming to share, who's coming to support, you know. And what came around, and Tommy joined us after our meeting with our team last in December, when we had some of our team members here to kind of plan out the year, was this is all about the community, about us. And like, it's not like I sat down one day and was like, this is what's going to happen. I have no idea that when we renamed it Powerhouse, when we brought all the women together in community that day in Dublin, that it would just spark so much joy, so much exhilaration, so much lightness. Everyone was light leaving, and it really bonded us. And that's what's going to unfold as we move through this year, and why, you know, the calls, there's like the practical calls of like, you know, I have a question about this bathroom, this kitchen, this. And that Suzanne and Rachel are doing amazing work with that. And then for me, we're going to have the call once a month on one of these themes to see how to refocus our attention onto our vision. And this is why the intentions are so important. It's like, if you desperately run in and put the remedy in because you're like, I have to get it in because everything's like that, or do you sit down, set an intention for, well, this is my health and well-being area. How do I envision that? How do I look? How do I feel? How do I connect with that version? How do I feel? Like, if you're like in your most fullest vibrance health, you're in full joy, like, oh my God, I feel amazing. And then you're putting your remedy in from that place with those words. And then every time you see that remedy, it's like, oh, that reminds me of full health, joy, happiness. Whereas if it's like that freaking metal, like, it's a different, you're having a different relationship with it.
Yeah. You've just kind of triggered something that we haven't spoke too much about, but just for your community to be aware, how you think and how you feel are connected. And if we just keep it simple, if you see something in your environment, you might be on social media or this, that, the other, you might get an email from your accountant or whatever, there's an extrapolation from the environment. That means that you don't see the world as the world is. You're seeing the world as how you feel it. So when you get that email from your accountant and you see it, what happens is a chemical called a neuropeptide gets created. That goes down your spine, and that chemistry meets your second energy center. It meets the plexus of neurons. So how you think is now translated into how you feel. And when you feel that guilt around not paying your accountant on time, what happens is you start to see more of that in your environment. And my suggestion to everybody in your community is don't ever try and fix that. You don't have to fix that. All you have to do is consider how you've interpreted what you've interpreted. It does not have to be interpreted by the child inside of you. It does not have to be interpreted by what you're not. It does not have to be interpreted by your personality. You can get to a place that when these emails come, that you feel a lot better about it. And when you feel an awful lot better, and trust me when I say the oxytocin, the serotonin, the dopamines will overwhelm the chemistry of the lower energy centers. That's what we're looking to do. And when it does eventually overwhelm, that chemistry will be building your life from a different location, as in it'll be building your life from a different platform. You won't be trying to fix your life through the anger, through the guilt, through the fear. Yeah. Watch how you think and watch how you feel.
Watch how you think. And I just read this morning, and I just think it's so appropriate. It's from Andrew Smith, and he says, "As you think, so you shall be."
Mm.
And it's this really, this is part of that, like, and I think it's like, you know, you were saying about the, like, for example, a letter comes in, and whatever the letter is, it's just a letter. And it's all and I'm just like basically rehashing what you said, but in my own words. So the letter comes in, it's just a letter. It's not good, bad, indifferent. It's
Exactly.
a letter. And it's like, where are you looking at the letter from? Are you looking at the letter from the guilt, or from the shame, or from the anger, or are you looking from like, oh, there's a letter? And this is where you know, my absolute obsession with Michael Singer comes in, around the surrender experiment, and allowing it to just move through whatever comes up, like watching, oh, I'm really angry about this letter. This letter is making me, oh, look, who's that? Who's showing up here with this letter? You know, it's the remedies, or the comment that I make in the Facebook group, or someone said something about, you know, whatever it is, you know, watch where that is and see it. And all this is about bringing the unconscious into the conscious. So anything that we don't see it, we're just going to keep repeating it. So when it's into the spotlight, it's an opportunity. It's a real blessing. So if something feels like it's going wrong, it's actually going how it's supposed to be. Like, it really is working how it's supposed to be. And that's this dropping into, there's a real sense of trust with that. But if we see it and we get really angry, then you're just like spreading that out further to have more of things to get angry about.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like, it's just a letter, it's a letter. And then where am I reacting from it? Where do I want to go with this? And Ken and I have had this conversation about, you know, I see him talking about some topic, and he really wants to go with this, like go into the frustration and the anger, and I'm like, let's just like change the topic, or and then he's just like, and it was like he was coming back to me. He said it like a few times lately. I was like, he's like, it's just amazing. I really wanted to keep going, like, but that's because that's how we've been doing it. That's how we've been taught, how we've been trained to keep repeating and keep doing it. But actually, we can change, and we can come from a different place.
Yeah. There was a saying I heard years ago: if you do what you've always done, you're sure to get what you've always got. And it's just very, very true. The other thing to say to your community is, the feeling that you feel in your body is constructing the hologram of your experience. The feeling that you're feeling in your body is constructive. You're building your experience through the feeling. And what led you to the feeling was the thought. And the thought was usually programmed into you between when you were born to 7 years of age. That's when most of it's written into the subconscious. And that's why you need to disengage from the when the anger comes up. You need to see it, but you need to consider not acting out on it, because what the anger is trying to do is it's trying to propagate like an accelerant into 3D space and time. It wants more anger. It wants more anger. That's what it does. It's extremely addictive. And just to keep it simple as well for people in the powerhouse community, just to keep it simple, like, you just gotta keep a close awareness on how you think and how you feel. And if you feel negatively, if you're feeling something negative that in your body, that is the lower energy centers. If it's fear, it's the first. If it's lack, it's the second. If it's rage, it's the third. If you're feeling love, if you're feeling joy, serotonin, dopamine, endothelium, all of that, nitric oxide in your fourth. When you're feeling that joy, it's from your fourth energy center. What you'll do when you feel joy is you'll speak it through your fifth. So just to kind of all the lower energy centers are selfish, and the higher energy centers, 4, 5, 6, are selfless. And what we're trying to do is usher the idea of this community into 4 and above, so that there's not a selfishness going on in the system, and that it moves up at a higher frequency to selflessness. And then the people in this community start to inhabit the lighthouse that they once thought they needed. Now they start to be the lighthouse within their own environment. They're a place of safety and joy and love, that somebody can come to them, and now they get it because they're not reactive anymore. If you're reactive or overreactive, and that's how your system has been, that's the body being the unconscious mind. That's the body being the unconscious mind. That's what it is. Take some time, chill out, watch how you're thinking, watch how you're feeling. And what you said, Patricia, about noticing is really important. It's one of the secrets to this. It's one of the secrets to actually allowing yourself be in those higher frequency feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I have everyone saying, Brenda, I love it. Bert, thank you for the amazing information. Jacinta says, I'm loving it. Does it have to end? Well, there's something I actually haven't shared this with Tommy, but yesterday I was at the gym, and I met a guy who works there, and he's a very joyous, happy, bubbly guy. And before Christmas, he told me that for Christmas Day, himself and his girlfriend were going to Disneyland. And I was like, cool, like what a fun thing to do. Go to Disney. He was at Euro Disney in Paris. So I spoke to him, and I went out, I consciously was like, I'm going to go over and talk to him. I want to find out if this, imagine going for something so fun for Christmas. And he told me all about it and everything. And then the next day, I think it must have been 2 days ago. And then the next day I was in my meditation, and I was like, this world that we're in, it's like we don't have to go to Disneyland. And I actually was listening to a podcast of, I think it was Michael Singer, talking about something like Disneyland or Disney. He said something, and he's like, we don't have to go to Disneyland. We are in Disneyland. Like, this is it. Yeah. The animals are all the creatures, us driving our car, like we could be in our teacup, the rides, like what happens, that like when we approach this life with lightness, when we approach doing our Feng Shui with lightness and with joy, we're going to create more of that. And really starting to see, like, not do things from a different perspective of like, oh, I have to do, like today for me, I had a little thing land in me of like, oh, I have to do some sun salutations after my Pilates. I was like, I need to do some sun salutations. Like, and it was because I know it makes my body feel good. Then I went, no, actually, sun salutations are like the most amazing prayer to like, thank you, sun, thank you, earth, thank you for my body. Like, it's how we do, how we think, how we be in this world, and just to actually look at it from a place of, if I was living as if every day was like Disneyland, and some of the rides are really scary and really hard, and like you'll never want to do it again, or you'll get pukey, or you want to keep doing it, like it's fun, and we can look at nature and everything. We're in a magical place. And the fact that today I'm literally thinking of a song, and Tommy sends me the same song in a different mix, literally in the same minute, is that like we then can create more of this. And we have a great community here to be able to shore this up and bring more of this out, because the world needs it. It needs us to get out of our own way and be lighthouses.
Yeah. And for the different people in the powerhouse community to start considering the idea that you are, as a seeming individual, the solution that this place needs. You are the solution. You're not looking for a solution anymore. That's not what's being talked about here. You'll always be looking for a solution to your situation from the lower energy centers, that anger, that lack, that fear. But then when you start to feel better, you're going to start to understand really quickly you are the solution. So it's about the people in the community understanding and standing in the idea of, I am the solution. I feel pretty good. I can be of assistance in 3D space and time via that subject of Feng Shui and the community of Powerhouse. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So important. Tommy, is there anything else that feels relevant to share before we go? But this has been amazing, and I'm loving that some people are saying that they haven't been in the group, haven't tuned into the Powerhouse group for something, but something made me be here today. Yes, we're all meant to be here for this, and we will be sending an email with the recording so you can watch it, and it'll be like almost like compulsory listening to all new people. I'm like, have you watched? To do it, Tommy. Tommy, is there anything else that's moving?
So the last couple of things is that one of the things that's just interesting to me as I've worked with people in this way, in a clairaudient way, in this clairaudient energetic way, is I work with people one-to-one and in groups, and I do a lot of shoveling. Just shovel, 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 shovel. And what happens after a while is it starts to become very obvious to the person that I was just there to do the shoveling. I don't introduce you to what you are. What you are comes through to my system as a sound. And what happens is the shoveling goes on, and then your body, mind, your personality dissolves. So it's a very simple process. It's a very simple process. The change can be tricky, but it's just a time thing. It can be, I know it can be tricky. And to say that when you change how you feel, everything changes for you. You'll enter, and it might be a little bit of a leap for some people, but you'll enter into a new dimension, and your feeling is the trans-dimensional jump that will get you to witness the world and be in the world as the solution. And that solution is a power. It's the inherent power of what you are. And when you get a sense of what you are, you're going to start to forget what you've been in the past. The past and memory and all of that won't be very much of interest. And what happens is that you start to inhabit a powerhouse. You start to feel like a powerhouse. You start to be able to tap the energy of what you are and move through the world as what you are. And there'll be an awful lot less of what you've taken yourself to be up to this point. And I think just to say as well, you're all very brave for being here, because if you're here on this call, then you know why you're here. Yeah, so thanks.
Yes, isn't he just brilliant? Yes, absolutely brilliant. And everyone's like, love it. Thank you so much, Juicy Gold, for sure. Love the concept of shoveling. Could listen to this all night. Excellent call. This has been so insightful. Amazing. I have just one more thing that has just come up, and I remember seeing in the group, and you know, one of the something that came in an email message was, I done the feng shui for this to happen, and it hasn't happened. And I know we've touched on this. It hasn't happened. Like, you know, this is still happening, and this is still happening. And that was just that for me, this is a really, it's difficult. I want everyone to have, you know, get what they want. And live and have joy like that. I just want everyone to be happy, basically.
Yeah.
That's what I want, everyone to be happy. Yeah. So then that's a really difficult one. And for people who may be on and they're like, yeah, but like, you know, this hasn't happened. Or it hasn't happened for the people. Like, I did it for some other reason. I know we've kind of touched on it, but I feel like there's just something else that we need to just uncover.
Yeah, well, so what's very obvious is Patricia, who you're not, you know, let's say the India vibration is more of what you are. Patricia is going to feel responsible for the whole of the powerhouse community. You're going to feel responsible. You're not responsible for the community's feelings. The members within the community need to take responsibility as adults for how they feel. And if the remedy was put in place and the change didn't occur, that's because they didn't allow the remedy change how they feel. When the person changes chemically how they feel, then everything will change for them. You're not responsible for that. You're the facilitator that facilitates that. You facilitate that. So think about it a little bit. Think about it a little bit like this. These eyes are not seeing, they facilitate seeing. These ears are not hearing, they facilitate hearing. That remedy isn't the remedy, it facilitates the remedy. It's the facilitator. Powerhouse is the facilitator. You're the matriarchal India vibration that hugs and loves it, but you got to remember not to be Patricia and go running after that person that complained on a post because the thing didn't happen. That's not your responsibility. It's growing up time. It's growing up time. This world needs to grow up out of the lower energy centers and start to take responsibility for joy. You have a responsibility to seek and hunt down the joy in your body so you can be part of the solution. So if you start complaining on this or that or whatever else, you got to know that you are part of the problem. You're pouring an accelerant on your own problem. You need to seek out the responsibility and the joy. And that is when you start to actually take responsibility for the remedy being a facilitator, what's going to happen inside your system is you're going to stand beside the people in Powerhouse, like I said at the start of the call, and you're going to be the lighthouse, you're going to be the solution, you're going to be the light, you're not going to be seeking it, you're going to be it. That's a different thing, man. That's a different thing in this place. That's a different thing. Most people are going out into the world looking for a solution. What's being said here is through these remedies, through this community, you are the solution. You are what you've been looking for. You are where you're looking from. You are it. You are it. And being part of this community can really facilitate that. We're learning now what the world needs. And it's growing up time. It's growing up time.
Yeah. Wow. Did everyone get that one? I absolutely love it. That was very, very, very powerful. It's growing up time. And I think that's so true. If we think about each of those energy centers, the lower ones have been induced since we were kids. So it's just like, are we just a little play in the playground, or no, we're not? We're in real world, which can still be like Disney, joyously.
Yeah, big time. Fun.
This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. That's it. Very good. Loud and clear. I love that. The remedy is a conduit that carries our energy to a higher vibration.
Exactly.
Yes, yes, yes.
Exactly. It's a conduit. Exactly. It helps. Powerhouse, the remedies will help you. It's a conduit to a higher frequency and a higher vibration. Exactly. That's the message. You're not looking for something. You are the solution. You are what you've been looking for. There's nothing, I'm not making a mistake in what I'm saying. You are what you've been looking for. Like in this is just, I've said this to you before, Patricia, and you would have looked back at me kind of funny a couple of times, but you're gonna see over time. This is a course in miracles. This is a required course, and you will take this course. Whether this lifetime, the next, you're gonna get schooled. You're in earth school, boys and girls. That's what this is. It's growing up time. It's time to be the solution, not the problem or complaining of the this, that, and the other. That's what's happening. You're gonna take the course. You're gonna take it. That's what's happening. You're gonna be the solution. That's what they're looking for from you.
Exactly. Wow. Okay, everybody. I just from personal experience know that after a chat or an interaction with Tommy, it takes some time to assimilate it. And I would love to hear any of your aha moments or comments. This is in the Facebook group. We'll share the recording out for anybody who's just been joining. And we'll be doing our Chinese New Year call, but I really wanted to have this conversation before that, because I know that that's kind of our most highly attended call during the year. And I was like, okay, we're going to have this to be able to be like, you're in this community for a reason. And we're all here to become lighthouses for ourselves. Thank you so much, Tommy.
That was brilliant.
That was so amazing. so good. And we had no idea this was like, I think you should do something in the group. And then all of a sudden this magic, and there's been so many people live. So thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to just say Tommy does work with people, and he also has a group session, so we can share that information as well. We've had the recording. I've just been on an amazing journey this year with that. And we'll also have Tommy coming and supporting us in the certification with this year as well. So thank you so much, everybody. Have an amazing day. I hope this kind of lands in you, lets you assimilate, and also prepares us for our journey with the remedies in 2022 as we come into our new reports and a new time as things start to change again. And I think this is also part of this journey, is that it is all about change and evolution and growing, and maybe we'll do it differently as implementing our remedies in a different way in 2022 with the new reports. So thank you, Tommy. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we will all see you next week. We've got the Chinese New Year call. And in the meantime, have a great day, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Bye.